Hello, I'm Jane Mangold from the Agricultural Research Service with an Eastern Oregon Ag Minute. Many range and wildlands are under attack by invasive species, wildfire, commercial development, and other activities that displace native plant communities. The use of native plant species is critically important when attempting to restore many of these areas, but unfortunately, native plant seed is often in short supply and very expensive. In addition, the demand for native seed is expected to increase in the near future. This provides a unique opportunity for individuals or groups to venture into an agricultural enterprise, that is, collecting and selling native seeds. This week we'll be talking about collecting native seed for restoration purposes. We'll cover some basics such as how to determine which species to collect, when and how to collect them, as well as the proper protocols one must follow when collecting on private or publicly owned land. If you're interested in collecting wild native seed, you may be wondering on which species to focus your energy. Species have been prioritized by state and federal agencies like the Forest Service, BLM, Agricultural Research Service, and state fish and game departments. Species selected are based on criteria such as past agency seed buys, broad adaptation throughout the Great Basin, and current commercial availability of each species. Some species that have been selected as high priority for the Great Basin include Thurber's needlegrass, bottlebrush squirreltail, basin wild rye, sagebrush, four-winged saltbush, and bitterbrush. If I were collecting seed, I'd get contracts prior to collecting. Given the rapid loss of viability in many species, I would like to have a plan for their use before I collected them. Seed collectors must be certain of the identity of the native plant species that they are collecting and selling, because most seed buyers will refuse to do business with individuals who sell misidentified seed. Get yourself a good plant identification book and identify desired plant species well in advance of the time when the seeds will be ready. If you're interested in collecting wild native seed on private or public land, there are a few rules and common courtesies you should follow. Most collecting on public land requires a permit from either BLM or Forest Service, depending on who administers the land on which you wish to collect. The native seed collecting industry is fairly small, so permits are typically available, often on a first-come, first-served basis. Often seed collections will have to be done by hand, and vehicular travel is restricted to established roads. Terms of the permit will vary from state to state and from district to district, so you should check with your district office for specifics. If collecting on private property, be sure to visit with the landowner beforehand, receive his or her written permission, and always respect private property. Whether on public or private ground, it is very important to avoid damaging your seed resource when collecting. This means only taking a portion of available seeds and minimizing physical damage to the plant community. Stop collecting at that site if it appears the population is declining or invasive plants are increasing. Now that you know which native species you're interested in collecting, you know where the seed is, and you have the proper permits and permission to collect, let's talk about one of the most important items to consider: the timing of seed harvest. If seeds are collected too early, they will not be mature enough to germinate and grow. But if collection starts too late, most of the seeds will have fallen to the ground and be difficult to harvest. Be sure to collect filled seeds, or those that have been successfully pollinated and have produced viable embryos, endosperm, and a seed coat. The endosperm can serve as an indicator of whether or not the seed is ready to harvest. Seed in the milk stage will produce a milky fluid when squeezed. Next comes the soft dough stage. In this stage, the seed will emit a material that resembles soft, kneaded bread dough when squeezed. Finally, the endosperm enters the hard dough stage. During this stage, the seed is fully mature, hard to the touch when squeezed, and ready to harvest. We've been talking about native seed collecting throughout the week. The final step to collecting involves methods to remove the seed from the plant. In wild, native situations, this is usually done by hand in order to minimize resource damage. Seeds can be stripped from the plant by cupping the hand around the seed head and simply pulling toward the top, stripping the seed from the head. This method works especially well with grasses. Another method is to clip the seed heads from the plant, dry in a paper bag, and then shake or strip the seeds from the heads. This method works well when seed being collected matures over a long period of time. Seed can also be collected by beating or shaking the seeds from the plant. A tennis or badminton racket or a simple stick can be used to knock the seed loose into a bag, bucket, or tarp. Seeds of many shrub species are collected in this manner. Handheld machines have been designed to strip or vacuum seeds from plants as well. If machine harvesting is possible and cleared for use on public land, options include strippers, combines, and swathers. Each machine has its advantages and disadvantages depending on the situation. Once seed is harvested, proper cleaning and storage becomes important, but that's a discussion for another week's Ag Minutes. I'm Jane Mangold, and I'm out of time for this week. Thanks for listening.